welcome or welcome back to my channel. I am Bekah Jo, aka the Makeup Tax Lady, and today I just want to play with makeup. We just had our big winter storm come through. We have so much snow. I am okay with the snow. I'm glad that we got snow and not ice. I know that several folks were getting ice, and the snow's not that big of a deal. I can handle the snow. But anyway, we have way more than snow than we usually do. So let's just take the opportunity to be inspired by the snow and play with a little makeup. I know in my last video I said I want to have colorful makeup for these first few months of the year, and so I'm going to challenge myself. So I want to use the Snow Moon and Wolf Moon palettes by Inslee Rain. I'm going to use these together. I may dip into another palette, we'll see. I want to make a colorful eyeshadow look using these two palettes. I think they can definitely be neutral palettes, and that's typically how I think of them, but I want to make a colorful look using these palettes. So yeah, let's get into this look. To get things started, I have skincare on my skin. I put this on a few hours ago, but it still feels pretty fresh. So I'm content with where my skin is at pre-makeup. I recently picked up the Christian Beauty Company Tallow Cream Foundation. This is in the shade Fair Neutral, and I have only used it a couple times. I'm getting to know the formula. All in all, I like it. The shade that I got, I don't know how to make sense of this thought, so just stick with me. The shade that I got when I put it on is like a perfect color match for me, but there's something about when it's slightly too light that I feel like a foundation shade specifically brings out like an undertone in my skin that I don't care for. I don't know the best way to explain it, but I would rather a foundation that's a little too deep than a foundation that's like the same shade or too light, because I find that undertone issue as a preference of my own. So the shade itself is good, but I actually wore it this way yesterday. I want to mix it with my Kingdom Come Home Tallow and Milk foundation. This is in the shade 1. This is a little, like, a hair too deep, but also a hair too yellow for my liking. So I want to combine these two tallow foundation products, mix them together on the back of my hand, and then put them on my face. When I did this yesterday, it was like a perfect combination. The textures mixed together really well, and the shades ended up being spot on. Maybe a tinge yellow just because this is a tinge yellow, but I was very happy with the end result. So I just pumped out the Kingdom Come Home foundation on the back of my hand, and now I'm taking a little spatula into the Christian Beauty Company cream foundation. They're definitely different textures. So we've got the cream foundation on the top here, and then the tallow and milk on the bottom. You can kind of see the difference in shades there as well. I'm going to use my finger here to mix these together. Now I'm going to take that mixture, blend it onto my face. I'm just blending this in now with my damp sponge. So I picked up the foundation and a primer from Christian Beauty Company. And I've only worn the primer, I've actually worn it a couple times now, I think, too. Neither of these products have I tested like for a full day wear, so I'm just getting to know them. I will say the Tallow Cream Foundation is better than any other cream foundation I personally have tried. I've tried the MAC Studio Fix something or other. It's one that Alexa talks about, and I didn't care for that one. Part of the problem with the one that I had was that the shade was too light, so I know that too. But this one is much, much more skin-like. Add some lip gloss to help moisturize my lips as we are moving along here. I want to use my Kingdom Come Home concealer today. This is the shade Fair 1. This is also a little too light for me, but it blends in nicely. I like the concealer. I don't love the concealer, but I like the concealer. To add a smidge more coverage on the rest of my face, I've got this Sephora Best Skin Ever Glow Concealer. This shade is a little bit too light in yellow, but it works all right. I'm just gonna add this. It's not like a super high coverage, but it does add a little bit of coverage. So just to the spots where I would like a splash more coverage. I could also go in with the tallow cream foundation very easily and use just a little bit of that to spot conceal, but I've already added the Sephora concealer. Gave that a second to set. Now I'm going in with my damp sponge to blend in the concealer. So I definitely, like, as far as concealer formulas go, I tend to prefer more of a serum-y concealer, which is part of what intrigued me to the Sephora collection glow concealer that I have on the face. That it's a thinner formula, which tends to turn out pretty skin-like for me. My regular powder brush is drying. I just washed it, and you'd think that of the millions of brushes I have other options that are a little bit smaller and more suited to my preferences, and I know that I do, but I'm just going to use this large powder brush to set under the eyes and a little bit of a dusting around the whole face as well. And I don't think I said, but I'm using my Sydney Grace translucent setting powder. With this smaller, more targeted brush, I'm going to go into my color correcting powder by Kingdom Come Home. It has this, it's a baked formula, I believe, and it has this combination of all the different sorts of shades to help with color correcting. And I'm just going to add this a little bit right under my eyes to add just a little bit more shading, color correction. I'm going to give everything a little spritz with my homemade spray. I did just order a mist from Kingdom Come Home in my most recent order, so we may have a new one to be playing with here soon. I'm going to use my Sydney Grace brow palette in blonde to add a little shape to these brows. And a little Sydney Grace Clear Stronghold Brow Gel. And then let's do some contour and bronzer. I want to go in with my Mama Max Cocoa Contour Stick for my contour. I like to just use this like to help shading on the outside portions of my face. So it's not like a real cool toned contour. It's really just like a very natural looking contour in my experience. Really enjoyed this product. I'm gonna blend that out with my brush. I think it just like adds some color and liveliness to the skin. I think a lot of people maybe use bronzer to do this type of thing, but I find that a lot of bronzers look unnaturally warm toned on me, especially in the wintertime. So I find that this product is a good like contour, like it shapes the face, but without being so harsh against my own skin tone. That said, to complement the Mama Max contour stick, the combination that I have been loving lately, which is not normally one that I seek out during the wintertime, we have a snowstorm today, is my bronzer from Sydney Grace. So this is a single of the bronzer. This is a shimmery shade in Butter Cookie. The other bronzer, powder bronzer that I have from Sydney Grace is a very similar shade, but it's matte, and that is in the Luminous Light palette. Let me just pull it out to show you. So here's the Luminous Light palette. This is the light variety, and here are the two bronzer shades. They're very similar as far as like depth and undertone and those sorts of things. And I typically consider these more summer bronzers because they have that warmth to them. But something about having the Mama Max contour underneath and then adding this, it makes it mesh so much more naturally on my skin than if I only use something like this as my bronzer. So let's use them in combination today. The bronzer is pretty pigmented, so I like to pick it up on my brush and then tap my brush into the mirror just to help disperse the product a little bit. And then I like to focus my bronzer kind of at my temples and then a little bit onto the tops of the cheek and onto the sides of the forehead, and then what's left over right in the middle of the forehead. But I feel like that looks so much more naturally bronzed than without the contour underneath. So, like I said, I'm really enjoying this lately. I feel like it adds some life and color to my face doing that little combination. We will come back to blush before we wrap everything up. Next, I'm gonna go in with my new, I mean, I've used it a couple times, but it's new to me, eyeshadow primer from Kingdom Come Home. This is very nice. I have been very happy with this. I like to take just a tiny bit on a brush because it has a little bit of color to it. It cancels out color on my lids, and I don't need a lot. Just adding a little bit of that, and then we'll get into our eyeshadow look. For today's colorful eye look, I'm going to do a halo eye. I'm going to start with the Wolf Moon palette and dip into Frozen Tracks, this pretty like mid-tone gray shade, and add this to the outer and inner corner. This is a really good gray shade. It has a little bit of depth to it, but it's like my level of depth for like an everyday shade. I'm gonna make sure that this is blown out a fair amount because we can be a little dramatic with this look, and we should be. Matching those mattes on the lower lash. I say those mattes, we're still working with the one shade. It will get colorful. This look will get colorful. I'm just starting with the basics, and then we'll build from here. Taking a fluffy brush into Howling Wind. This is still in Wolf Moon, and just gonna use this around the outside of that previous shade. You're not really gonna notice this on my skin tone. Just wanna help make sure everything is blended the way that I want. Of course, focusing on the outsides because I'm not so worried about inside here. We're gonna add some shivers. Next, I'm gonna dip into Snow Moon and grab this beautiful navy blue over here called Silent Night. And we'll use this to, oh, this is such a deep, punchy shade, to deepen up the outer and inner portion of the halo look. Just wiped that brush off, and now I'm kind of blending. That blends so beautifully. How delightful. And again, same navy blue shade underneath the eyes. This eye is watering a little bit on the outer corner, so if it looks a little bit less blended or uneven or something, it's me. Just taking a little bit fluffier brush, no product on it, and just running that around the outside on the bottom lash line, doing any detail work. Dipping back into Snow Moon, I'm gonna grab this. Ugh, this shade is so pretty. I have not given this shade enough attention. Midnight Echo. It's a super smooth shimmer, and it's blue with a purple flip to it. You can kind of see here on the side a little bit of a purple flip. So pretty, and doesn't have, it's more of a gray base than like a black base. It doesn't have as deep of a base to it as I would have expected. So I'm gonna put this on the outer portion of, well, like the inner portion of what we've got for the halo. We'll do another shimmer down the middle. I have not applied glitter glue or anything. That was one dip. Oh, this shade is fantastic. A second dip just for the second eye. Oh my goodness. It'll come together. I know it may look a little bit messy right now, but this is so intense. I love this blue. Same shade, but on a smudger brush. Gonna add this, again, matching the top, but to the lower lash. And it's okay if it gets a little bit messy. Okay, back into Wolf Moon this time, and I'm gonna take Winter Howl. This shade is like, it has different little pieces in there, and different shifts and shades, but it is so smooth and super reflective. It is so pretty. We're just gonna slap it right in the middle. Ooh. back into Snow Moon, taking a little bit of Frosted Glow. This is a super pretty white shimmer, but when I look at it this way, it has just a little bit of a kind of blue-green sparkle to it. I'm gonna add this shade to my inner corners and really keep it just like concentrated at the inner corner, not bringing it up into the swoop or anything like that. One more addition, I want to dip into Frozen Aura. This is in Snow Moon. This is another super underrated shade in my own collection. It is blue, frosty. We've got some holochrome sparkles in there. I'm taking this, what I just had on my finger, spreading it out between my two. We're just gonna add this because why not? I'm just gonna add it a little over everything in the center to give just a splash of glow, a little more glow. Just using this clean, fluffy brush over the top, down underneath. I'm gonna go add my mascara and I'll be right back. Mascara is on. I'm wearing my Superfan Smashbox mascara, and in my waterline I added the Pixie Endless Silky Eye Pen in the shade Black Blue. It's just a very, very deep blue, navy blue kind of shade, so goes well with a navy blue look. For my blush, I'm going to start with Sydney Grace. They came out with a few new cream blushes in December, or around December. It might have been with their Black Friday sale that started in November technically. Anyway, I picked up Sugar Drip. I also picked up the other one, Kiss of Coral. So we've got Kiss of Coral and Sugar Drip. They're similar, but the Kiss of Coral has a little bit more warmth to it. Sugar Drip is just this like super pretty soft petal pink kind of shade. So I want to use Sugar Drip on my cheeks. If you are not new here, you know that a pinky cheek is what I love. It's what I crave. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a loud pink, but a true pink, like almost like bridal makeup pink kind of idea, is the tone of blush that I prefer the most. I go through phases. I've been through phases of wanting more like peachy, brown toned blushes, but this one is such a good one, and in my opinion, such a good addition to the Sydney Grace cream blush lineup. I would typically add a powder blush on top of this, but honestly, I think it looks good. I'm happy with this. Let me grab our highlighter. Today's highlighter is going to be beaming. I'm picking up the Ensley Rain Cold Moon 2 highlighter palette and dipping into Snow Crystal. This shade is so intense. So intense. It's a pinky base, but has this incredible, like, silvery flip to it. Oh, it's so pretty. So stunning, sparkly. Thank you, I'll take 10 more. I love these highlighters. Especially something about having a popping highlighter. I don't know if it's like winter time with the snow right now, if it just like helps me feel more alive. Like it just has a little bit of color and life to it to add to the skin. I don't know, but it's perfect. It's fantastic. For lips today, I want to try something a little bit different than what I normally do. It's not like it's out of this world, but I'm going to start with my Elevate Beauty lip liner in the shade Powder Room and kind of blend this in my lips. Next, I'm going to take her Elevate Beauty Matte Lip Edit, and this is the shade Grace, and this is a really pretty cooler tone mauve. So I'm going to add this to my lips, but I'm going to sheer it out. I don't want like a full opaque layer of this lip. I'm going to add a little more depth and definition with the shade Comeback Season. This is another lip sculpt by Elevate Beauty, and I'm going to top it off with a little bit of my lip topper from Sydney Grace, and this is the shade Trisha. Here we are. Welcome back to the finished look. Thank you for hanging out with me through this colorful, snowy, January makeup look. I had a lot of fun. I think that the navy blues are maybe kind of a January thing. Like, it's not super colorful, but at the same time, the look itself is punchier than I would do on a day-to-day. So it is colorful in that sense. I think that the level of sparkle and juiciness that this look has feeds that need for me, so I am so delighted by this look. Had a little lipstick on my teeth. I am generally always a fan of like a pinky cheek and a pinky lip. I do like this combination, and I think it complements the navy blue eye really well. So thank you so much for joining me today. Let me know what color you're reaching for your makeup today. Our Bible verse to close us out of today's video is going to be 1 John chapter 5 verses 1 through 5. Whoever believes that Jesus is the Christ is born of God, and everyone who loves him who begot also loves him who is begotten of him. By this we know that we love the children of God, when we love God and keep his commandments. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments. And his commandments are not burdensome, for whatever is born of God overcomes the world. And this is the victory that has overcome the world, our faith. Who is he who overcomes the world but he who believes that Jesus is the Son of God? Thank you once again for joining me for today's video, and I hope to see you in the next one.